Hi, Sarah here with the UK Scrap Addicts process video for you today. We are focusing on not using cardstock as backgrounds or at all, so that's the challenge for this month. So it's all about using pattern papers as a background and embracing using that rather than the white cardstock with layers of pattern paper on top. So because I do love my mixed media and I do like to use my watercolour 12 by 12 as my background and then add layers of paper, I wanted to make sure that I could still use my mixed media. So first off here I am just adding some clear gesso and very gently spreading it across the page so it doesn't pull on the paper and warp it too much, it doesn't stretch the fibres within the paper there. I apologise for the state of my hands. It is because I now have a part cat, part cactus, as you can, oh, and there goes my phone, as you can see here, and he does like to attack my hands a lot, so I have got lots of teeny tiny scratches, so sorry about that. So I've now got my nice dry background. It has curled ever so slightly but nothing major, and as you can see it's clear gesso, so you can see completely the pattern paper in the background, which I'm about to cover anyway. So first off, I'm using this stamp here. All the products I'm using are from Thompson's Craft Supplies, at least most of them. And for the main part, this is the kit called Nautical Adventures. It's a mixed media kit that's got papers as well as mixed media products to use, so I will link it below. I think she still has 2 left as far as I know, so this is still available but obviously very limited. If you wanted to get that, I will link her shop below. And I'm also using a few stamps from her shop as well. I'm just creating a bit of interest in the background here, and I have just marked out where my photo is going to be, so I'm just sort of surrounding it with these stamps. I think I use a third one as well. I do actually notice that my photo, which has got the horizon in the background, is actually wonky, so I'm just going to trim it in line with the sea and make sure that it's straight, because obviously on my background there is the sea as well, so I wanted that to line up at this stage, even though it all gets covered up later. And here I'm just adding a further bit of stamping, just this nice scripty stamp, just to add a little bit more here and there. And then, oh, and the ink I'm using is archival, so I can go over it with water-based products and it won't smudge. I use the stencil from the kit next, and I just add some distress ink through it just to do that sort of net effect. It doesn't show up very well, but I did leave it in the video anyway because it does get completely covered up, but I thought I'd just show that anyway rather than just cut it out. It was far too faint though, so I decided to add something a little bit bolder, so I've taken another stencil here. I'm going to add some texture paste. I really have to get new texture paste. This stuff is like cement now, so it does go on too thick, so it's not as precise as I would have liked the image to come through. It's a bit blurred, but it does the trick. It brings up a bit of nice white through so that it gives it a bit of a cleaner look to the page. So I'm just adding it here and there, just adding lots of different layers of stamping and texture as I go along. And I think that's about all I do for texture paste. As you can see, I've not bothered with that centre bit because I know that's where my photo is going to be. I also want to leave the space where a lot of the sky is because I want to cluster my page up on an angle going up the side of the page there. So next up, I'm taking my mermaid markers. As you can see, I did do a tester patch in the middle so I knew how it would turn out because I know that bit's going to be covered anyway. And this is why it's good that I put some clear gesso. It means I can add lots of these colours and then I go in with water and a brush and just blend them together a little bit, keeping the colours so that they still have separate bits, so you still see all three colours, but making sure that as well as that it does blend nicely. And then I just let that dry, and the colours will blend a little bit more as it does dry, and then let's see how it looks when it's done. So I'm now adding some gel medium and adding some gauze or cheesecloth, depending on what you call it, and just adding a few layers on top of each other here and smushing it into the gel, which will make sure it all sticks down nicely and then dry. This works well because with tape, gauze tends to get stuck to it, or it pulls away because the fabric doesn't bond well. Next, I'm smushing that down onto this hessian, also from the kit, and just trimming it down so that it's, instead of my cardstock paper layer that I probably usually frame my photo with to help it stand out against the page, instead I'm using lots of textures, lots of fabrics. And now I'm just adding more gel to the back of there so that I can add paper layers to the back of this and it will bond well. And here are some of my papers. I want to cut out a couple of these cut apart pieces here. I do only use one in the end, but I do cut out a couple, and then I use the opposite side to create a paper layer for the back of my photo as well, and then smush that down because there's loads of gel medium on the back of there, so it sticks down nicely. And I'm just going to place things down, a bit of a dry run, see how it looks, and get a general idea of how I want things to look. I decide that I want this piece here to be circular, but then I felt like it needed a lot more texture to it, so I do ruffle up the edges and I do ink the edges as well, I think. And again, with my paper layer behind my photo, I do the same. I even it out and I also ruffle the edges there too so that it matches. And now I'm using some ink, distress ink, just to age the edges, make them blend in better with the background. And I do that to both of those. Next up I have some very fine decorative chipboard and a little tea leaf there stealing things off my desk. I forgot about that bit. And as you can see, they look kind of like seaweed. I don't know if they are, there might be reeds, I'm not sure, but I just decided to use some of them as well because I think they work well. And this again is from the kit, and I just use a staple to get this put down in place, because I know with the amount of embellishments I will, if there are any staples still showing after I've layered things up, I can just stick a gem on it or something like that and it will disappear, you won't know they're there. And I just stick down the edges where I can reach with the staple, and I'm not too worried about the centre because that's going to be fixed in place with my photo anyway. I'm now using some 3D gloss gel, which is a really strong adhesive for sticking down the 3D elements, and I use the scrap from my chipboard to pop my photo up there. Just adding in that journal card cut apart piece there, and adding more gel medium to the back of my title, which was in the kit. It's by Bramble Fox and it's got a beautiful pearlescent finish to it. It looks like mother of pearl kind of thing. So now I'm just going to carry on adding bits with my 3D gel medium here and there. All the 3D embellishments stick really well with this stuff. And once I have those in place, I could have done this beforehand, it probably would have worked out easier, but I'm now adding a sort of skin colour tone, brown and green, to each of the seaweed pieces. I use the skin tone as well as the brown to create the background because the green would be very bright without a browny tone underneath, but I wanted it to be two-toned green, so hence I've added more of a beigey and more of a browny colour so that there's a bit of a difference in the colour throughout those. There's a bit of a close-up of those two. And next up I'm going to add some twine. I think this was an add-on for the kit. I've got loads of it. I love it, it's brilliant. Just twirling it around, like fixing it together, adding some gel medium and just smooshing it into place for a little bit more texture here and there. I add a bit across the bottom as well. And now I've got all my embellishments out, and I'm again using my 3D gel medium to stick down lots of pretty flowers. There's prima flowers, rainbow resin. A lot of these came in the kit. There's one or two bits that are from my stash. Little seahorse I think might have been from my stash. Some seashells which you can get from eBay, anywhere really. They're quite easy to get a hold of if you can't get to a beach. And I just keep adding more and more until I'm happy with it. I think I add a couple of chipboard pieces here and there as well. And a cute little anchor there. I'm just building up the clusters in the corners and then up the side. I decided to move that sea breeze. I didn't want it up there. I felt like it was fighting for the title. And so I pop it down there instead. Now I'm adding a few more flowers because I love flowers, paper flowers. I hoard them so much, so I really wanted to get some used up. Still going with lots and lots of embellishments. I'd love to hear from you if you've got a kind of embellishment that you use a lot of or you hoard. Mine's definitely flowers of any kind, resin flowers and sequins, which I'm putting down now. So do let me know what you like to hoard or what your favourite embellishment is. So to put these down, I am just adding more of that gel medium with a tiny paintbrush and then like a pickup tool that's got sort of like blue tacky type thing on it. And I don't make you watch me do every single one of them, that would have taken forever. It did take me a while to do that. So now there's sequins all over it as well. I'm now just going to add some white acrylic paint that's been watered down and this little fan brush and just go over the whole thing with some white splashes. I do off camera right at the end add some copper splashes and also some pearl Nouveau drop type things. So you'll see them in the close-ups pictures at the end, and that is me done. So thanks for joining me. If you haven't already, do like and subscribe UK Scrap Addicts so you can see lots of videos from us, and also in the links below you can find my personal channel if you would like to subscribe to that too. And don't forget to check out the blog and the Facebook group. All the links will be below. Have a great day everyone. Bye.